Yo, real talk? One of the biggest struggles we all face? Comparing ourselves to other people. We do it constantly. You open Instagram or TikTok and boom, someone just bought a Tesla, someone's chilling in Bali, someone's making six figures at 23, and suddenly you're like, damn, what am I even doing with my life? But here's the thing nobody tells you, their lane isn't your lane. Listen, if a fish spends its life trying to fly like a bird, it'll feel like a loser forever, even if it can swim across the entire ocean. And social media? Man, it makes this problem 10 times worse. We're constantly watching highlight reels of other people's lives, forgetting about our own strengths. That constant comparison, it eats you alive. It leads to self-doubt, sadness, and eventually you start feeling like you're never going to be enough. That's why today's story is for anyone who's ever thought, I'll never be as good as them. So listen carefully. Every line in this story could shift the way you think about your life. There was this small town in Oregon, surrounded by this huge, beautiful forest. In that town lived a kid named Jake Parker. Now, Jake was a solid dude, hardworking, kind, and always ready to help people. But he had one bad habit. He was constantly comparing himself to everyone else. When he saw his buddy Chris Evans absolutely crushing it in class and getting straight A's, Jake would think, man, I wish I was that smart. When he saw his neighbor Ryan Reynolds living in this massive house with his cool car, Jake would think, I wish I had money like that. Even at basketball practice, when Michael Jordan Jr. would sprint across the court like lightning, Jake would mutter to himself, why can't I run that fast? Day by day, these thoughts were draining him. He stopped enjoying life, lost focus on school, and started believing he'd never measure up. Then, one summer, this wise old guy rolled into town. Everybody called him Grandpa Sam. He was the kind of person who just got life, you know? Like dude dropped wisdom bombs without even trying. Jake, desperate for answers, walked up to him one afternoon and said, Grandpa Sam, I work hard, but every time I see people doing better than me, I feel like crap. I feel like I'll never be good enough. Grandpa Sam smiled, patted Jake on the shoulder and said, meet me tomorrow morning by the big oak tree at the edge of the forest. I'm going to show you something you'll never forget. The next morning, Jake shows up. Grandpa Sam's already there, leaning against this massive old tree. He says, all right, kid, look around. What do you see? Jake shrugs. Trees? Some tall, some short, some loaded with fruit, some totally bare. Grandpa smirks and goes, exactly. Now imagine if this apple tree started crying because it's shorter than that tall pine tree. Or if the pine tree complained, yo, I wish I had sweet fruits like the apple tree. How dumb would that sound? Jake bursts out laughing. Okay, yeah, that's ridiculous. Grandpa smiles and says, exactly, kid. Now tell me this, when you look at the whole forest, how does it feel? Jake looks around for a second and replies, honestly, peaceful, beautiful, even. Grandpa leans closer and says, that's life, Jake. Every tree in this forest has its own purpose. Same goes for people. The apple tree gives sweet fruit. The pine tree stands tall and strong. They're different, but both matter. You're not supposed to be like anyone else. You're supposed to be you. Then Grandpa Sam walks Jake to a little pond nearby. Fish are swimming peacefully, and up above, an eagle soaring across the sky. Grandpa points and says, now imagine if one of these fish looked up and said, man, I wish I could fly like that eagle. Would that make any sense? Jake shakes his head. Nope, fish are built to swim, eagles are built to fly. Grandpa nods and says softly, exactly. So stop trying to live somebody else's life. figure out your own strengths. Walk your own path. That's where happiness lives. Something clicked inside Jake right then. That one talk changed everything. From that day, he stopped comparing himself to anyone. He started focusing on his own grind, his own skills, and his own journey. Little by little, his confidence came back. Life started to feel lighter, brighter, better. Fast forward a few years, Jake built his own startup from scratch. He became one of the most successful guys in the entire town. Whenever people asked, "Dude, how'd you do it? What's the secret?" Jake would always smile and say, "Simple, man. Stop comparing yourself to others. If a fish tries to fly, it'll always feel like a loser. But if it focuses on swimming, it can own the whole damn ocean." So, here's the takeaway. The sun and the moon don't shine at the same time, but both are equally important. Find your path. Walk it your way. That's where real success begins. If this hits you even a little bit, smash that like button, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and I'll catch you in the next story.